Hi, hello, my name is Gavio, and today I'm bringing you on my character creation for my D&D campaign that actually is just the repurposed Baldur's Gate 3 character. So yeah, we are going to go through what happened in my gaming. So let's start right now, because this is a design video, but I want to talk a bit about me and what happened and how I came up with this idea. This all started last year when I decided to play Baldur's Gate 3. It started as a joke because we didn't really know. I was not in those circles, so I didn't know what was going on with Baldur's Gate 3. If I'm totally honest, it was a thing that we saw the people thinking it was really funny that you could fuck the bear. Sorry, advertisers. But we saw that and I thought it was so funny and like, oh, this game has so much opportunities. We should probably check it out. It sounds fun. And so I wanted to check it out for my friends, and then all of my friends bought it, and then we got obsessed with it for months. And so I created my little character. Here's the thing though. My friends were also planning for the past 2 years to start a D&D campaign. And Baldur's Gate 3 is the thing that made me change my character maybe a month and a half before we started playing, actually, because I fell in love with my little guy and I decided to recreate it. So this is how it happened. In Baldur's Gate 3, I decided to choose a tiefling because my characters, I love tieflings. They're just so cool. I don't like when D&D characters look humanoid for me. I like when they are a bit weird, a bit eccentric. Like currently on another run of Baldur's Gate that I've been like sidelining, but I still play. I play an Aasimar. But yeah, from the main selection, the one character that definitely took my eye was the tiefling. And then I wanted to play a warlock, because ever since I've been designing character designs for D&D and that I wanted to play D&D, warlocks always seems like the most interesting, both narratively, like role-playing wise, and just power-wise. I think they're really cool, they're really fun. I love being a magic. I'm a spellcaster in every game that I play, but I play mages and enchanters and people that are from far away all the time, so I thought that was the most fun. It's what I like the most, so that's what I took. And then I saw that the warlock, you could be a warlock of the Archfey, which is where everything went downhill from there, because I was like, oh my god, a tiefling that made a pact with a fairy god? That's where it began. I play these characters very differently. So this is just the origin story of Zaphiel, which, if my friends are listening to this, I'm so sorry to break it to you. The reason why they're named Zaphiel is because once you play the game of Baldur's Gate, you get always the Tav is the name of it's a basic name. And I thought this was randomly generated. It was not. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna pay homage and I'm gonna transform Tav into something angelic / demonic that I can use. So Tav, Zaphiel, that's how it was born. I'm sorry guys, but that's how it started. And then obviously I Roman Sisterian, and this is how my character looks. But then when my friend Spring came back and was like,
hey Gab, I'm starting work on the campaign. Can I have the character sheets?
and then I went, sure, but don't get mad at me. It's a completely new character with a new backstory. And that's how Tzaph was born. So I'm going to talk a bit about Tzaph while the character design progresses in the background. And yeah, Zaphiel is a changeling, stolen kid. So you know in fairy lore, sometimes there's changelings. So when fairies take away a kid and change it with a fairy kid, well, the new fairy is a changeling. Well, Tzaph is the child that was kidnapped. It's kind of gloomy, but that's what happens. Talemothra, the fairy who adopted them, decided to keep them as their own child. Talemothra is it's a collector. He loves to collect people and things. He is a very interesting character. He is the patron of Tzaph later on when the campaign starts, even though he is also the father figure of Tzaph, which I think is a very interesting way to play these things. And by father figure, I both mean literally, as in Tzaph thinks of him as their dad, but also metaphorically, because Tzaph also think of them as like a god. So Talemothra adopted them and a bunch of different other kids, but Tzaph was always different. Tzaph was always the kid that Talemothra cared the most about. And spoilers for the campaign for the people who are watching, but Talemothra always wanted Tzaph to become an avatar of sorts to go into the mortal realm and represent the Talemothras. That's why Tzaph has so many tattoos. They are all branding. A couple of interesting things about Talemothra. Tzaph is one character that always introduces themselves with their first name. And if you know anything about fairies, that's something that fairies never do. The reason Tzaph does it is because their name doesn't belong to them. When they say, hi, my name is Tzaph, what is yours? They are willingly offering their name, even though they are a fairy, because their name is not there's anyway, so there's nothing to lose. That's something I'm playing with, actually, maybe if at some point. I don't know where the campaign is going, but potentially if there's ever a separation between Tzaph and their dad, I might write it that they change name, because I think that'd be kind of cool. They are a tiefling. They know nothing about tiefling culture. They don't know Infernal. They know Elvish, though. So yeah, they know nothing about anything at all. But they made a lot of friends a long time. And something that was really funny is that when I was designing Zephiel to be ported into D&D, I decided that it would be really funny to take in the part of the fact that in the campaign they dated Asterion. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna offhandedly refer to my ex that happens to be a vampire, like as a joke, and then it's not a joke anymore. And not only is it not a joke, but it's actually a very integral part of their story and their lore and their background and everything. And yeah, I really, really like it. And I need to design Mallory, which is their ex, better, but I'm really excited. I really like where it goes. So let's talk a bit about the visual design of Zephiel that has been going on in the background. So appearance wise, so tattoos, color, and tattoos and body and underwear to a certain degree is very much inspired by the Baldur's Gate creator. So the color, all of the color scheme, the hair to a certain degree, even though this hair is more like Victory Rolls, because I really like Victory Rolls over like a braid, but whatever, it's basically the same. Body wise, I decided to make them very petite, so like really thin and with a tiny waist, and also short. They are canonically 5'5", and that's because I think it's really funny. In person, I'm really tall and large, and I wanted Tzaph to be the opposite, because the rest of my party are like a minimum of 6'5", I think. So like I'm the shortest by far, and it's really fun because it gives a lot of interaction. And yeah, that is body wise. As for the outfit, I had a couple of interpretations. I wanted on something simple but had a lot of flair and a lot of like fairy vibe without being just a fairy. So the little sleeves, because I love those kinds of sleeves, big pants, and then I decided to give them like wind protecting arm and leg bands with beads on them because of the movement, because of the sound, because it looks cool. Well, when I imagine it, at least it looks cool when they do any spells. It could be really cool if there was an animation, if any of my friends want to animate something. And so yeah, and then I decided to give them a little backpack that is really, really cute, and a big ass cape because fairy wings and whatnot. And that is basically the outfit. I also spent a lot of time on the tattoos, as we saw earlier. There's a lot of little details in there that I really like, especially the branding that is really cool. A lot of the designs are purposeful, they're winged. They have a vampire bite mark on the shoulder. I won't talk about that one though. But yeah, visually as a design, that is what I wanted. Now for the personality. Personality-wise, they are very different from their Baldur's Gate counterpart. In Baldur's Gate, I played them like a true good neutral good type character, in which I would take generally the right decision to save as many people as possible and to experience like a quote-unquote good version of the game, apart from when I wanted to impress Asterion, in which I was being a little more devious, I was being a little more insane, but that's because Asterion is baby. But otherwise, kind of a boring character, and that's completely fine. I think Baldur's Gate is very much about the other character more than your own, because you're not telling a story, you're experiencing it. But for this specific iteration of Tzaph, which is going to be the new canon one, I wanted to change that. Tzaph, a hopeless optimist, and very kind of childish in the way that they act and the way that they think, because human nature in like Barovia in this sense, but like anywhere outside of the Fey realm doesn't make sense to them, which makes sense because they've never been outside of the Fey realm. They are open to nature, they don't know what happens a lot, and they have a tendency to not being able to hold a grudge at all. They are anxious but hopeful, very childish and sweet in nature, not a lot of malice in their heart. That is basically how I play them. I want them to be, and they're canonically neutral good, because I want them to be able to choose at any point, well, me to choose at any point what is their focus. But I can say that like saving people and seeing people in pain is definitely one big trigger, and they would do anything to stop that. They also have ADHD, not in the canon, oh my god, ADHD way, but in the I have ADHD and I want this character to have like the full uninhibited version of that. They are very spontaneous, very on the move, on the action, I need to go right now. But yeah, apart from that, they are very sweet and very caring. They introduce themselves to everyone involved, like in their life, everyone that they meet, they always introduce themselves. They always tend to promise to help people in need, but also doesn't extend that promise to their friends necessarily, because they know that like people have their own way. They're really individual individualistic, not in the way that they want to be alone, but in the way that they don't hold relationships to that high of a standard, apart from Mallory, but they're Vampire X. But apart from that, they don't need people around, simply by the fact that they think that like life is in constant evolution and stuff. Let's do a quick round of their character sheets because I think they're very funny. So the full name of Zaphiel is Zaphiel, faechilde of Telemothera, because their dad is called Mythololai Telemothera. So, faechilde of Telemothera, because I think that's cute. They are an Archfey Warlock level 4 of the background Fey Lost, and they are a Mephistopheles Tiefling with a neutral good alignment. They have an armor class of 11, 30 speed, and a maximum HP of 24 because they are very, very easy to kill. And here is where it is very funny. Zaphiel has 11 strength, 11 dexterity, 13 constitution, 13 intelligence, 14 wisdom, and 20 charisma, which at level 4 is crazy, but I wanted to build them that way. I rolled a natural 20, I think, and then all of my D&D friends were like, don't do that, it's a bad idea. And then I'm one of the DPSs. There's Devil's character is crazy, but apart from that, I pack a really good punch because I use my Eldritch Blast a bit too often. But apart from that, the 20 charisma goes in really high. I have +2 of proficiency bonus, and I have bonus in wisdom and charisma saving throw, so my charisma saving throw is of 7. As for skills, I have proficiency in arcana, deception, history, and survival. I have proficiency in light armor and simple weapons, and I know common and elvish. As for what I have a light crossbow, 2 daggers, and a quarterstaff that I barely use any weapons. I use the daggers more for like personal, like little tiny things. The quarterstaff I've not used a single time, and I tried to sell my crossbow to a very shady seller. And my equipment, I have a light crossbow with 20 bolts, an arcane focus, a scholar's pack, which I use for in lore to write little journal entries, which I really like. I have a leather armor, 2 daggers, a simple quarterstaff, an instrument which is a Holusi. I have traveler's clothes and Feywild trinkets. Those are from the Fey Lost background, and so what I have, I can only tell 2 right now because they've been open to the rest of my group, and I want to keep the last one for stuff. So the first one is a ball and cup toy that plays a jingle every time that you win, that I unfortunately gave to a child on the first session to be like, hey, wait here, I'm gonna come back to get it, and then the child disappeared, so I will never see that again. And then I have a parchment folded to look like a knight on a unicorn that was stolen by one of my party members that just steals shit, and so I lost it. And for my features, because I'm a tiefling, I have dark vision, hellish resistance, and one that I really love is that the flower starts to grow in my presence. When I am standing for more than 1 minute still, the flowers around the area that I am, if there's any ground, starts to grow, which I really like. It's been very fun for like stuff and shit. And when I'm in a basement, it's really funny because it's usually just like moisture and like mold that starts growing around me, a la Control, which I really love. I have Feywild visitors, so sometimes I can have people at night that come visit me from the Feywild. I have a Feywild connection, so Fey, if there's any fairies on the campaign, they can see me as their own because I am a fairy. I have an Eldritch Sight which detects magic at will, and I have Agonizing Blast which adds my charisma modifier to my Eldritch Blast, so all of my Eldritch Blasts have a +5 automatically to them. Once per rest, I have my Fey Presence, which in a 10-foot cube, everyone has to do a wisdom saving throw against my charisma spell DC, SDC. Creatures are either charmed or frightened by me. And then for my spells, I'm gonna spitfire it. My spellcasting ability is Charisma because I'm a Warlock. I have a 15 spell save DC, and my spell attack bonus is 7, so I am fucking busted. My cantrips are obviously Eldritch Blast with 120 range, and I do a lot of damage. I have my Mage Hand, Thunderclap, and Minor Illusions, and because of my Tome, I have Guidance, which adds 1d4 to any allies' checks. Word of Radiance, so each creature I see take 1d6 Radiant 1 damage. I have Sacred Flame, which does 1d8 damage. Then for my spells, I have 3 at level 1, which are Fairy Fire. I put them on the screen so you can see my magnificent handwriting. My Fairy Fire makes that everyone in the 20 feet cube needs to do a saving throw, and if I see them, there's an attack roll advantage. And I wrote Glow Arrow because it's like in Minecraft, we can see them through walls, and there's an attack roll advantage. I have Sleep, which is pretty self-explanatory, and I have Healing Elixir, which I've been using the most. So I created an elixir in hand, and it's good for 24 hours, and it's so fucking useful. And then for level 2, I have Calm Emotions and Phantasmal Force, which has a lot of information, so I just copy and pasted the description. And so those are my on paper. So that is my Zaphiel. The way I play them is being very silly, very cute. I am best friends with my character's friends. Well, at least Tzaph thinks so. That's about it. I really like this character. I just wanted to show you my design process while I talked about it. And just started like going off. And so I'll talk a bit about the image. So the first pieces I did were the turnarounds. Well, the just front and back with the naked body, and then, well, naked with underwear obviously, and then the clothing. And then a second time I just wanted to do a little illustration to show Tzaph in like a more rendered style. And this is based upon Barovia, the way I imagined it. So there's darkness and fog in the background. This is the darkness and fog that keeps us stuck in Barovia because we are playing the Curse of Strahd, obviously, which makes it so much funnier, the fact that I have a Vampire X, but and then in the background of the image, I have a little Fae portal with one of the little rats that is one of my Fae visitors that came to me, and with little sparkles. And then there's Tzaph in their normal attire, being generally happy to be there. And like, I wanted them to be like kind of blasé and like just like almost like taking a like, look, Dad, I'm here type of image. And yeah, I really like it, and I'm happy with it. So here is a quick montage. And so thank you a lot for coming around. It was a really great, fun time to draw these. I don't think I'm going to talk more about Zaphiel at all. I'm thinking maybe doing a little Tumblr blog where I could post more about them, but I'll see where it goes. Either way, you can follow me all around the screen, and I'm going to be focusing on drawing some more angels in the next image. I love you guys very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.